Hello viewers, welcome to this channel. In this video I'm going to be teaching you how to draft out a pattern for blouse, okay, a bustier. And in this case I'm going to be using princess cut. Okay, so if this is what you like to learn, please kindly watch to the end. And while you're watching, please do not forget to subscribe and also to turn on the notification bell so that anytime I upload a new video, you'll be notified. So thank you. Let's move right into the video. So when you look at this pattern paper, you see that I have already drawn out some lines. Okay. The first one you're seeing is a shoulder line. The first one you're seeing here is shoulder line. So after the shoulder line, I place the tape here and measure the bust point. That is from the neck to the bust point, which is 11. And also I draft out 15 inches for under bust line and also 18 for waist line, which is half length. And then the hip, I placed my tape on the waistline and I measured 8 inches for hip. So the next thing again I did was that I placed the tape on the bust line and I measured it up above 2 inches to create a chest line, which we are going to use as our shoulder extension. Okay, so after that, the next thing I did was that I measured 8 inches shoulder measurement divided by 2, which is 8 inches plus half-inch sewing allowance. Okay, the same thing I have here, I measured it on this chest line. This is chest line. This is chest line. I measured it on the chest line. The same thing I have here is 8.5, and I place it here, which is 8.5 too. So the next thing I will do is to come up here on this line, on this shoulder line. I come down 1 inch shoulder slope. Okay, 1 inch shoulder slope. The neck width I'm using is 3 inches width and also 3 inches depth. Okay, 3 inches depth. Okay, so the next thing again to do is to connect it back to the neck point. The shoulder slope, connect it back to the neck point like so. Okay, so the next thing to do now is to connect this point here and this together. Okay, so this is it. So the next thing again to do is to measure this line, measure it. When you measure it, the midpoint, mark the midpoint, which is 4 inches, and come in half inch like so. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do now is to mark our bust span. The bust span I'm working with is 8 inches. 8 inches divided by 2 is 4 inches. 4 inches plus half-inch sewing allowance, that is 4.5. Okay, so this 4.5, I'm going to take it down to the hip. Okay, this is 4.5, 4.5, 4.5. So I will connect them together. I'll connect all the points together. Connect all the points together. So the next thing again to do is that you will come on this waistline, at the center front, come in half inch here. Okay, and also half inch here. Okay, then connect the points together. Okay, so then on this side, go in by 2 inches on the waistline, and also here 2 inches, and also at the hip line 2 inches. You get? This is it. But you can decide to go here. You can decide to put 1.5 here. Okay, you can use 1.5 or that 2 inches. So I'm going to connect the points together. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do now is to come down at this bust line, come down 1 to 8, that is 1.025. Okay, like so. So what I'm going to do again now is I'm going to connect them together. Okay, just connect them like so. When you're done connecting, connect it like so. Hope you can see it. Don't worry, I'm going to highlight all this line later, so you can see it clearly. The reason why I'm using the pencil is because in case I make any mistake, I'll be able to wipe it off. Okay, so the next thing again to do now is connect this point and this point together. The point that you have at this armhole, connect it back to this place. You can see it. Okay, so the next thing you're going to do now is here at this point here, come down 2 inches. Same 2 inches you use when you are marking this. Same 2 inches you use it here also. This is 2 inches. Okay, then from here at this point, at the bust point here, go up by 1 inch, then connect it back to this line. You can see. So the next thing you're going to do now is to shape this place at this underbust area. Shape it very well. Okay, you can use your hand, or you can use the curve ruler. You can use your hand, or you use your curve ruler. Okay, so remember to avoid the sharp edge. Avoid sharp edge. Okay, or pointy edge. Try to avoid it. Like this place, just try to avoid it. Okay, so the next thing again to do now, from this point, measure what you have here. This is 6.1, so you place it. This is 6.1 at this here, so you place it here. 6.1. Okay, but I always like to extend it a bit, about 1 inch or so. Then I'll come up here again by 1 inch. Okay, like so. And then I will connect it back like this. Okay, so remember, I'm still going to adjust it or reshape it after all the segments have been joined. Okay, it's always good to have excess when you are making any clothes. Okay, have excess so you not run short of fabric. Okay, so the next thing again we are going to do now is to put down our circumference. So the circumference I'm working with on this bust area is 40. 40 divided by 4 is 10. 10 plus 1 inch joining allowance, that you're going to join this point and this segment and this segment together. That is added 1 inch. 1 inch plus 3 inches. 3 inch. Remember, I always like to work with fabric. Okay, I don't want to run short of fabric, so I'll still trim them off later. So at this underbust, the underbust here is 39. 39 divided by 4 should be 9 3/4, right? 9 3/4, yeah, 9 3/4 plus 2.5. Remember, you have 2.5 here. 2.5 plus 2.5 that allowance, then plus joining allowance 1 inch. Remember, 1 inch, and plus 1.5 sewing allowance. Okay, like so. Then the bust is 40. The waist is 40. 40 divided by 4 is 10. 10 plus 2.5, that is 43 divided by 4 is 10 3/4. 10 3/4 plus this 2.5, that is 2.5 plus 1 in joining allowance. I hope you're keeping record, and plus 1.5 sewing allowance. Okay, so in case you might be saying that it's not making, the shape is not coming out well. Well, you might not see it now until after it has been joined. That is when you will see the shape coming out. Then the next thing I will do is to extend it up above. Remember, I told you I'm still going to adjust it later. When I was drafting out this pattern, I noticed that the camera was not recording, it. Was not recording it. So So I just went to check what really happened. So now I'm going to start from the beginning to explain how we got to this stage. Okay, please bear with us. Shoulder line. This is used. This is our shoulder line. This line is our shoulder line. Okay, and then from this point on this shoulder line, I put down the shoulder measurement, which is 16, plus half inch sewing allowance. Okay, then at that point I came down 1 inch shoulder slope. Okay, then here I put down neck width 3 inches, then the depth is 1 inch. So I connected it back to this place, then connected um this one back to the neck point, like so. So that's it. So the next thing we are going to do now is that the next thing we do now is that from here, remember, okay, okay, see, here is my shoulder line. So this shoulder line, on that place, I put down I want to explain how I got these vertical lines. So on this shoulder point, I measured 11 inches, that is bust point, and then 18 inches for half length. And also I place my tape on the waist and mark 8 inches, which I use as my hip line. Okay, hip line. Here, this is a bust. This is bust line. This is waistline, and here is the hip line. So the next thing again I did was this one that I explained. I explained earlier. You know how I've got this one now. This is 3 inches width, neck width, and 1 inch neck depth. This is back pattern we are drafting. Okay, and then on this point here, I measured 8 inch shoulder measurement divided by 2. Shoulder measurement is 16, divided by 2 is 8, plus half inch sewing allowance. Okay, on that point, I came down 1 inch and I connected the point back to the neck point. So the same thing I have here. To get to the chest line, I came up 2 inches from the bust line. I came up 2 inches from the bust line. So whatever it is that I have at this shoulder line, I place it on this chest line. That is 11, that is 8.5. So that's what I have here, 8.5. So that's how I got to this stage. And then the next thing to do now is to put down our bust band. So remember, this place you're seeing now is zipper. This is zipper allowance. Okay, so from this point here, this center back line, I measured bust span divided by 2, which is 4 inches, plus half inch sewing allowance, because it's going to be in segment, that is 4.5. So I made a mark there. Then the same thing I have here, this 4.5 I have here, I place it down here to form a straight line for the dart. So that is what um I did. So I'm going to connect the point now. Okay, so the next thing again to do now is to put down, take in half inch from the both side to create a dart. Okay, so I'm going to connect that point to this point, connect it to this point, and also here, like so. Okay, the next thing again to do is to mark 6 inches from the waistline, mark 6 inches downwards, like so. So you use and form the dart. Let us connect it back to this point. Okay, so you can see. So we have done with our dart now. So the next thing again is to connect this point together, the neck, that is the shoulder line, sorry, the armhole line. So on that point, mark the midpoint, measure, and then mark the midpoint. The midpoint is 4 inches. This is it. So connect this point and this point together, like as I'm doing now. Use the curve part, the curve area, Yes, use the curved area to connect it, like so. So you can see. So the next thing again to do now is to put down um armhole. No, put down our measurements, the circumference measurement. That is bust divided by 4. Bust 44 divided um by 4 is 11. Bust is 11 plus 1 inch joining allowance and plus 1.5 sewing allowance. That is it. And then the waist is 40. So 40 divided by 4 is 10 plus 1 inch, that is a hair plus joining allowance 1 inch, then 1.5 sewing allowance. Okay. Then at the hip is 44. No, 43. 43 divided by 4 is 11. Is 10 3 quarter. 10 3 quarter plus 1 inch joining allowance and plus 1.5 sewing allowance. So that is it. So what we do now is to connect them together. Don't mind, the shape might not be looking nice now. So by the time it is joined, it will look perfectly well. Okay. So you can just connect it as it is. So the next thing we do now is to shape an armhole. An armhole, whatever you have here, you place it. So let's extend this line out. So whatever you have here, this is bus is 11 plus 1 inch joining allowance and plus 1.5. So what you do now is to connect the armhole. Let's connect our armhole. Yeah. Remember here, just take it as you see it. Hope you can see it. You can see it. So what next to do now is that you're going to extend this one out. Extend it out so that you will not run short of fabric. Okay, just extend it out like about 1.5, 1.5. You see, as it is now, 1.5. So you reconnect the armhole, reconnect a armhole. You can as well come up with 1 inch just like I did in the front. All we are doing is just not to run short of fabric when joining it. So you can come up with 1 inch like so, and then reconnect. So after joining, you can trim off the excess. It's better that way that you run short of fabric. Okay, that's the best way to do it. Okay, so now we are going to cut it out. There's no any shaping, no need of shaping anywhere. This is back. It's only no need of shaping any armhole. You know, this is back. It's only when it is in front you can shape above, because this is back, we don't shape it. So the next thing you do is you curve the down part with 1.5. You can use 1.5 or 2 inches. So so let's use 2 inches. Let's use 2 inches in this case. So that is it. We are done. Okay, remember the neck. Okay, because we are going to be using a little wider neck, so I'm going to go in 1 inch from the shoulder, from the shoulder point, and go out 1 inch. Okay, and I also come down here with 4 inches. Come down with 4 inches. Yes, 4 inches is okay. So I will somehow round neck. So you can see it now. So the next thing to do now is to shape our zip, the zipper area. We have to zip it. What shape it? What you do is just to go in half inch, go in half inch on this waistline. Okay, then you connect it back. We connect it back to the center, center back line, like I'm doing. This is just to avoid the um, excess fabric forming out. I mean, bulging out at the back. is to avoid excess fabric bulging out at the back. That's the essence why um the essence of doing this. Okay, so that is it. This is our center back, side back. So the next thing we'll do now is to cut it out. And when you cut out, always remember to add joining allowance, like on the shoulder here. Add joining allowance. Then that's it. That's the only way. And also the down part. Always remember to join the half-inch joining allowance at the down part. So I'm going to highlight this thing now with marker, so you'll be able to see it clearly. I will highlight it with marker. Okay, you can see it is more clearer now than before. So if you are cutting it out now, what you do, in case if you are in need of this particular basic neck, if it is that is what you need, this basic neck, you just follow it this way. Okay, if you need it, if this neck is what you want to work with, follow it that way. But if you don't want to work with this neck, you can follow this one. Like I want to work with this one. If I'm cutting now, just follow this part, this one, this neck depth, okay, like so, and then cut out the center back, then also the side back. So that is it. How I'm going to do. But even if I later cut it, the what I want to make with here, I want to use make use of here is half length. So it's half length I want to make use of. Okay, so what you will do if you come with half like I want to do, just place the pattern paper under it and trace it out, trace the areas you want to use, and keep this particular one, okay, as your master pattern paper. You keep it, so whenever you want to draft out something, you can use it. What you do is to increase the measurement or decrease the measurement that you're working with. Okay, so we are moving over to the front now. Okay, so guys, here is the front of the pattern. This is the front, this is center front, here is center front, and here is side front. Okay, I hope you will remember how we got to this stage. Like I told you before, when I was doing the recording, my video stopped recording and I didn't know. Before I could notice, I've already done recording. So, and I can't go back. So, what I will do is to post both. I'm going to post both out. Okay, but you can see it. You can see where I stop, where the camera stop. I'm going to post it. Then I also post this one. Okay. So thank you. Like I said at the back, if you want to make use of this first neck, then follow. If you want to make use of this first neck, then follow this one when you are cutting it out. But if you want to make use of the second one, you can also do the same. Okay. Remember, this is for the back. Remember how we got to this stage at the back. Okay, and then also remember to put your allowance like I did. Every other place has allowance already. Okay, so that is it. um Remember what I said about the ss I added ss um allowance, or I added enough allowance because I love working with fabric. You know why? So that I won't run short of fabric after joining. Because at times, if you do not do that, you'll find out that your measurement is somehow reduced. And when that is done, there's no any other way, no other remedy. So it's better you will add enough allowance. So after you're done joining them, you can measure, you can take your measurements. So that's the safer way of when you are drafting your pattern or working with your fabric. Okay, so thank you, viewers. I'm going to be using only the waist half length, and I'll keep the full pattern. Okay, like you want to make use of it. If you want, you can take out, like I told you, place pattern paper at the back. Okay, and trace out the areas that you want to use, and then keep this particular one so that you can reuse it next time. All you need to do is to increase the measurement of whatever you're working with, or reduce. It depends on the measurement you're working with. Okay, so that is it. Thank you, and God bless. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel, and also to turn on the notification bell, so that anytime we upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thank you. God bless you. Bye.